Gavin.
Hey, Louie. Ooh.
What was that?
Little cracking open the can. Little being classy.
Oh, well, you've never done that before in your life. That's
I know,
rare.
it's something new for you.
New year, new Gavin. Okay, this is so random, but you posted about the Burger King.
I know. R.I.P.
R.I.P. That Burger King was very special to us.
Yeah, I feel like that Burger King was the unofficial mascot of the show. If for those who don't know, there was a Burger King in Bushwick, Brooklyn that was very
movie themed, like Hollywood themed.
Yeah, but like Hollywood as it stopped in like 1994.
Yes. So there was like a lot of like pictures of like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Whoopi Goldberg, and like
Sylvester Stallone, and there were great little plaques that listed every movie a person had been in. And what was fun is you got to see some movies that were just never made that they were listed as being in at the time.
I just don't know. Like, do you think that was like a franchise thing, or like was that like a Burger King special? Like, I don't know how that came together.
I truly don't know, because I posted, and one of my friends who lives like in another part of Brooklyn was like, "Oh, I think ours still looks like that," and I was like,
"Huh." I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I mean, it looked like an old 90s Burger King, like the facade, but inside it was like there was a fucking car booth. Like there was like a big people, like there was always a big group of guys playing like
D&D,
Magic and D&D.
Yeah, Magic. Yeah.
Anyway, R.I.P. to that one. You know, girlies.
Nothing gold can last.
Yeah, nothing gold can last. This is the mixed reviews. It's a new year, and we are pouring one out for the Hollywood Burger King in Bushwick.
I'm not going to do that because these are hardwood floors. But yes, no. Pouring one out.
But we're so excited. Thank you for joining us. This is our annual year wrap up. I know, Gavin, you don't give a shit about the Oscars, but that allegedly, like, nominees are coming out like this week or something.
Yeah, it's something or other, I guess. They're gonna nominate some people and they're gonna give some awards, and then no one's ever gonna talk about those movies ever again.
Okay, you're mad.
I'm just, I don't know. People don't care about movies, they care about awards. It's
sick.
It's sick. The things that you people are into is sickening.
Sickening, no?
We should explain. We are a film podcast where we take a film subject such as an actor, director, or mini genre. We take a month, we watch as much as we can, we learn as much as we can, and we give it all back to you. But as Louie was saying, that's not this episode. This episode is a culmination of an entire year's worth of experience in film.
In cinema. We have been watching films all year outside of the assignments for this show, mind you. So we will definitely miss some movies, but we're just like we thought we'd like take a little gander through the year, spot some little trend alerts, talk about some movies we didn't like, some movies we did like. And it should be a good time. I again, 'tis the season, our favorite season, award season. And yeah, I think I like this episode because it kind of like puts like a punctuation mark on our year. And also like, I don't know, fucking maybe take down some of those Oscar baity movies like a peg. It's like, relax, that was not as life-changing as everyone said it would be. And give everyone an opportunity to like maybe, I don't know, go back and see stuff that you missed that like really deserves attention. There's a lot. One of the great things, I'll say off the bat, is just like the diversity of movies we are getting. Stunning. Oh yeah, I'm fresh from Ireland, everyone, so excuse the accent. It's really crazy.
Yeah, that's right. You just got back from Ireland. We didn't even talk about that. We do a little pre-show where we talk to each other, which is something we don't like doing. So, but that's oh my god. Well, yeah. I guess save it for the Patreon, boys.
Yeah, I'll do a jig for the Patreon. I learned some Celtic dancing. I'm just kidding. Imagine. Okay, before we dive into the year, we do have a little bit of old business. First up, we have the poll to go over. Our last episode, we talked about 90s Christmas movies. LOL, someone who responded to the poll and like named all these movies that were not from the 90s.
Reading comprehension is a huge problem in this country. Yeah, I just want to say.
And you know what? Like, he said, "It's a Wonderful Life. Dr. Seuss is How the Grinch Stole Christmas." Really confident with those picks, and like lovely movies, of course. And you said Baby Girl, Sweetie Girl.
Yeah, I was like, those are not 90s films.
Where's the reveal? You missed the assignment. Okay, here we go. The results were my pick, Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas, came out last place with 5%. The Santa Claus came in at 7%. Home Alone came in at 36%. And Gavin's pick, Batman Returns, 53%. We had a lot of people.
Yes. I'm blown away. I did not expect to win this one. I thought maybe a nice second, possibly a confident third. I'm shocked that Batman Returns. But you know what? It was my 5-star review. I love that movie. I will go to the grave loving that movie. I'm not getting buried, please. I'll go to the urn loving that movie.
Also, I just realized that I wrote the Canta Claus, not the Santa Claus. That's so funny. My sister clocked it.
Yeah, I was gonna say lots of people responded to that.
Drag me comprehension. Maybe that's why Santa Claus came in third place. I don't know. But yeah, we had people talking about the Muppets. Clayton mentioned that National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, even though it came out in 1989 at the end of the year, should count. Nice try, Beach. Yeah, so a lot of good discourse on that. I think this shows people are very passionate about their nostalgic 90s Christmas movies, and good for them.
Oh, and so many people were upset that you did not put Muppets Christmas Carol on there.
I know.
I also have to point that out controversially. But like, if you listen to the show, you know we love. We have nothing but good things to say.
What would I have taken out? I have to put our picks because it's our fucking show.
I guess the Santa Claus, maybe the Canta Claus.
The Canta Claus. Can't do Claus.
I see Corey's comment.
Yeah,
the Canta Claus. Spanish musical version. Love her.
Okay, honestly, where is the Spanish musical version of Santa Claus? Let's see that.
I would watch. No, I wouldn't. I hate Christmas movies. I would let you watch. Tell me about it. We also received a new 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. And if you want to go there and do that for us, we love it. This is our 97th 5-star review. And that's so close to 100. And I tried and begged in 2021 to get you guys to get us to 100. And I failed miserably. But, make my dream come true. All I want for Christmas is reviews. This one is from Bohema. And it says, Instant Listen. Gavin and Louie are putting in the work. Discovered the show during the pandemic and binged every episode. The quality has held up this entire time. Instant listen whenever it's in the feed. 5 stars.
Okay, Gag, that's incredible, and thank you so much. I would like to think that the quality increased as time went on, because those first those first episodes, a little roof. Me and Gavin were finding our sea legs. But yeah, thank you so much, and we're glad that we were part of your pandemic escape, give you something to do, keep you feeling normal and good. Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you so much.
And as for our Patreon bonus tier levels, my good friend Tim has now joined us on Patreon as an all-star supporter. Thank you so much, Tim.
Thank you, Tim.
So happy to have you here on the Patreon. You can actually see us and see that I'm like kind of dancing for you.
She's a dancing diva.
Animala dance. And also, one last thing, and we will get into the episode. We are a proud member of the Glitterjaw Queer Podcast Collective. That was one of the beautiful things that happened to us in 2023. We are continuing with it in 2024. We love those people. They're amazing. Why did I turn into Trump? Lots of people are saying.
Oh, God, Gavin, I hate it. I hate it.
Yeah, they welcomed us with open arms, and it's been such a lovely time. So go listen to their roster of shows. Anywhere from Skreonk, a Godzilla movie marathon podcast, to Are You My Mother, hosted by our good friend David, and many, many more. I mean, there's a Star Wars podcast, there's a Spider-Man podcast. It's just everything that you could ever want.
Mandy Moore. Anything you can want. It's over there on the Glitterjaw Podcast Network. Yeah, we love them so much. Okay, Gavin, enough. Let's get into this episode. When you think about film and movies this year or this last year, 2023, what comes to your mind? Like what things stand out to you?
Aging, lack of sleep.
Yes, of course.
What does stand out to me? It's such an interesting. I mean, I think the big headline of the entire year was strikes, was unions, and people really putting their collective power towards getting a fairer deal.
Yeah.
And I know that happens way late in the year, but to me, that is really what loomed over the first half of the year. You know, in the like third quarter of the year, it was all anybody could talk about. When are our TV shows going to come back? When are our movies going to come back?
Yeah.
And this last part of the year, post strike and post getting a deal, when all the things that were delayed during the strike are going to start coming out now at the beginning of 2024.
Yeah, there's a lot of movies that people were anticipating and hoping to see last year that got shuffled away. Challengers, the second Dune movie. I just saw the trailer for Challengers again today, and I'm like, oh my God. Bisexual chaos magic, Gavin. It's here, baby.
And I will say, like, got shuttled for good reasons. And that's just want to reiterate that we 100% supported the strike. And like,
yes.
Anybody out there who's like, oh, why were they on strike? I don't understand. Like, it was fairness, wages. People deserve to be treated as people. And we're all living under the fear of the AI replacing all of our actors. So like,
the corporate overlords, have a lot, but we have a lot too. And so, absolute solidarity to all the workers who make up the great, not only the American film industry, but like the film industry worldwide. Every worker, all of our work has value, and we need to protect that. That's definitely something that was a big, big deal. I just kept thinking about like, number one, weird year for obviously like superhero movies that usually are like dominating every year for the last 5 years. Very fucking weird year, I'll tell you that. I finally saw The Flash and I was like, what?
Our annual Ugly Gowns Award. Just ugly.
I mean, I think that one actually goes to Ant-Man, Quantumania. That was just vile. I mean, not vile is the wrong word, but like I was like, what am I watching? Everything looks so ugly. It's so bad. Yeah. And also like nothing, the status quo, like nothing happened, nothing changed, nothing happens. I did finally watch Blue Beetle and I was like, actually, you know what? I fuck with Blue Beetle. Yeah. It's actually a lot of fun. Is it new? No. But it's done very, very well. And I think the specificity and like really diving into like the Mexican-American culture of it all, like really worked. Incorporating the family like was really fun. And, I was like, okay, great. Nothing new, but in a year full of like kind of like, our superhero movie is going to be okay. Blue Beetle was like actually very decently done.
I have to agree. I mean, there were definitely some things. Listen, like you said, it didn't reinvent the wheel. Much like RuPaul says, though, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Yeah. And
as long as you're rolling, babe.
Exactly. And I did like some of the humor. I was like, this is a little annoying, but there was some really beautiful stuff. And I mean, I think there's a shot with. I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a shot set in a possible afterlife, and there's all these candles, and I was like, this is maybe one of the most stunning images I've ever seen in a superhero movie.
Yeah, I think a lot of the family stuff was earned. Yeah. And there, it was surprisingly emotional.
Hi.
Dude, no worries. Just take your time.
Thanks, Jenny. You gotta force it to come out. What do you... Hi. You're a genius.
What? I know. What'd I say?
You said this thing isn't gonna protect me, right? It's not gonna let me die?
No. I mean, we die.
All right, let's see if it works.
I wouldn't test it.
No. But anyway, like there was a lot of superhero shit this year.
There was so much, and perhaps to its own detriment, And I think the only one that people really seemed to like was the third Guardians of the Galaxy movie, which I did not like. But I know I'm in the minority on that one. That's fine. But yeah, it was like every time a superhero movie came out, everybody was like, is this the death knell of the superhero film? Is this the end? And listen, as long as they make money, and I know people will be like, well, the Marvels didn't make money, and it's like, okay, one aberration doesn't prove the rule. Like, as long as they make money, they're still going to get made. Like, I think we're in the long haul. It's, there might be droughts between when people make Westerns, but people still make Westerns. So like superhero movies are here forever. Yeah,
totally. And I'm not a spooky bitch, but like the amount of horror coming and horror that seems to be critically acclaimed, making money. It's just kind of like Teflon, right? People are always just like, they're cheaper to make. People love, I mean, fucking Scream came. I mean, the year started off with Megan.
Right.
And people lost their shits.
And Scream, Scream followed shortly thereafter, was one of the highest grossing movies of the year. I do have to say, and maybe this is controversial, maybe I hope I'm not coming off as a negative Nancy in this episode. Just something that felt more apparent this year than normal. I think people are willing to accept, because horror is so abundant, and I think people are willing to accept not great horror and just be like, that was good. Like it was a surprise. And because I love having a horror movie in my top 10. I really do. And I didn't connect to almost any horror movie. I mean, I liked Scream 6. I thought it was fun. I certainly wouldn't put it in my top films. And I think.
How'd you feel about Megan?
I didn't like it.
You didn't like it?
No, yeah. I thought it was very basic. I thought there was some really funny stuff in it. I thought, but tonally, it was so like, it really needed to decide if it wanted to commit more to being a comedy or more to being a horror movie. Because you can be a horror comedy, that's fine, but you need to find a way to like strike the balance. And it just kept leaning back. It was like a seesaw for me. It kept leaning back and forth into the stuff. And I was like, what am I getting out of this? And I didn't see the gory cut or whatever, and maybe that would have changed things for me. There's like an unrated cut that they put on Peacock that has more violence, but I'm not one of the people that watch horror movies for violence, so I doubt that would have changed a ton for me. But I don't know. And then when I got to the end, I was like, that's it, girl. Like,
I watched it very late in the year, and I watched it and I was like, there is literally no heterosexual reason for this to exist. This is, I mean, if there is, it's, I don't know, to show straights that like you don't need biological family to be your family. Like,
so what you're saying is it's truly a story about chosen family.
There it is. I don't know. I kind of like,
we as psycho robots get to choose the people we want to be family.
Exactly. I didn't realize how ridiculous it was going to be. Like, there's no reason for the dancing.
There's no reason for the dancing, but fun to watch.
It's camp. It's camp in a way that like I don't think America has seen in the mainstream like in a long while.
I have very strong opinions about what's camp and what's not, and I agree. I was just watching an episode of IMHO, and Darby said something along the lines of like, I think some girls just think camp is like hee. And it's not.
It's not.
And for those of you listening to the podcast, unfortunately, you'll have to go to the Patreon to see what we're talking about. But that's what, and Megan's not like that. Camp is like really sophisticated, and in a way that I think most people don't realize. Camp comes from the ability to really play something as straight as possible, but still manage to get the humor out of it. I think a lot of people, I was talking about this recently on something else, I think maybe Morgan's podcast, where like people talk about like the 1966 Batman, and they're like, oh, like they didn't know it was a joke. And it's like, newsflash. No. Yeah. Newsflash, they did. But what makes it good is they play it so straight. Like, this is their universe, and
it's
that's
like,
what causes the camp.
Yeah, it's like Michael Caine knows that he's surrounded by Muppets.
Right, right. And that's fucking camp, yeah.
It's the ability to take something silly, but take it very seriously. And like, it's the interplay between seriously silly, and silly serious. And I think Megan is a good encapsulation of that. And also, frankly, I'm just happy. I mean, obviously this will be a new IP forever and ever, but like, God bless, a new one was born this year, and like, good, great.
Is the next one going to be like Me Threegan?
Maybe it'll be Morgan with the R's a 4.
Oh.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Someone call
Mason, but the S is a 5.
Let's see, going down. I mean, this is February. You know, we got Knock at the Cabin. Oh, which I must say, not about Knock at the Cabin specifically, but one of my big headlines for the year is just like, what a year for queer cinema. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that movie's a queer movie, or a movie with queer characters made by a straight man. But sorry not to take it there, not to be, but
no, yeah, I mean, you're right. But I just think, you know, I saw so many movies starring queer people, about queer people,
queer stories, and
all genres, you know, Knock at the Cabin, horror, Nimona on Netflix,
animated family movie, Orlando, a political biography, like a documentary, Everybody, which was another documentary about intersex people, which a documentary I didn't particularly love, but had like really important information. I think totally worth watching for that. You're right. And Bottoms, like
Strangers,
queer,
All of Us, like Naiad. I mean, there's just so much. And passages, yes. There's so much, and I just feel so blessed. I mean, I remember last year, I remember thinking, oh, it's the year of kindness. Like, that kind of like, this year, I think it's just like, it's the year of gays. Like, it really just is. No matter what your taste is, there is a queer movie for you. And did I love all of them? No. But like, good. But good.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's one of the things we kind of hope for. Like, even if you don't love, like, there's nothing to say you have to love everything. There's lots of movies I watch and I'm like, I liked that.
Yeah.
That's, you know, that happens.
And it's very whatever.
Can I say one thing about Knock at the Cabin before we breeze by it very quickly?
Yep.
I do think, and maybe I'm being too sensitive, I think, in my opinion, Knock at the Cabin suffers a lot from the idea that queer people have to prove themselves to be even better than straight people in order for us to exist, or in order for us to like be seen as equal. And so I kept thinking about that while watching the movie, where I was just like, this is an awful lot to like put on this queer couple. And like the idea that like, because they chose their daughter, they like love her more than
having a child.
Having no child or a biological. And like, I was like the messaging here is really weird and like grosses me out and feels like a very straight person's idea of like, no, I'm with you gays. And that did bother me. And once again, maybe that's me reading too much into it, but that's what art is for, you know?
Read it, baby. We got the last entry into the Magic Mike trilogy. We got another, like I mentioned, Ant-Man. I want to say probably the movie that was talked about the most in February was Cocaine Bear.
Yes, which I completely forgot about and still have not seen.
No, I mean, like, it's, you know, ridiculous. Elizabeth Banks is out here being crazy, and good for her. Because
that's what I was going to say. I like her, you know. I wish more success to her.
Yeah. This was also, I mean, like, a lot of trilogy wrap-ups. We had Creed 3 as well. And the Guardians of the Galaxy 3, a lot of threes, like you mentioned, Scream 6, which now maybe is
the end for now.
For a little while.
I think we're gonna have. I'm sure there's lots of people who are more positive about it than I am. I think it's gonna be another long gap before we get Scream 7. If we get Scream 7,
and. What's the spot? I'm like, and frankly, like, fuck Spyglass, like, you know, like, period.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I'm like, maybe the rights should revert to another company now. Maybe that's the answer.
Yeah. Oh my God, we can't talk about flop superhero movies without talking about Shazam! Fury of the Gods.
What? What is that?
Yeah, exactly.
That's not a thing.
Fucking.
You know what bums me out about that the most, though? I really like Lucy Liu.
I know.
I really like Lucy Liu.
She deserves more. I think she has a new movie out at Sundance right now.
She does. It's a Steven Soderbergh film. So good for her. She's getting in on, I guess I hear it's a very ghostly. It's called The Presence. Ooh. And or maybe just Presence, because there was like a headline that said like Steven Soderbergh's presence too intense for people. And I was like, what? Wow.
One movie that we both really loved and talked about earlier for our Michelle Rodriguez episode, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes.
Honor Among Thieves.
And like that's almost like I'm at the risk of like being like ruining what I just said about camp. Like a lot of that is camp. A lot of because it was people playing it straight into a ridiculous world. Maybe not. I love what Chris Pine's doing in the movie. Maybe he's the only one. Like he's almost like too knowing in the movie. but like I genuinely think her performance is Michelle Rodriguez, because she is playing it deathly serious.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Also, whatever the bird's name is, and like that whole thing is so good.
But what a funny movie. It's funny. I was talking to our friend Christy, her husband Zach. I had lunch with them shortly after seeing it the first time, and he's a huge D&D player. And I was like, well, what did you think about the movie? And he's like, I think it's like watching a great D&D campaign. Is that great for movies? I don't know. But I was like, yeah, that's kind of what it was like. It's weird to watch a movie that's clearly that expensive that feels like a hangout.
Yeah, yeah. It felt like a very good Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah.
You know, and what a great vibe to catch.
Where once were contenders, now are befrienders. Let's celebrate lasses, celebrate lasses, celebrate lasses, celebrate lasses.
What's going on? My foot is stuck.
Concentrate.
Braid.
What madness is this?
I think they're starting to get suspicious.
And let me tell you, when they found that fat dragon, and that's how you do like a non-offensive fat joke, by the way, because that thing was adorable.
Yeah, great. In March, one of the top movies of the year, Super Mario Brothers movie. I didn't watch it, but I'm happy for Nintendo girlies everywhere.
I felt so bad. I watched it with my niece and nephew. My niece and nephew came to visit, and I watched it with them, and I forgot that sometimes I talk to kids like they're adults, and sometimes you can't, and so I feel like I ruined the movie for him, because I was like, I don't know, like there was a lot of like references to the game. It just felt very cloying, and
these kids are like.
And then like when he told his mom, she was like, oh, what did you think about the movie? He's like, I don't know. It seemed like they were doing a lot of stuff to like make it like the games. And I was like, I've ruined this 10-year-old. Oh no.
Yeah.
I fucked this 10-year-old up.
Gavin, you got to really keep it tight around the kids. I saw Air in theaters with Sam, friend of the pod.
Hi. I have many questions for you. The first being, how dare you?
The funny thing about Air is that like it truly is 80% soundtrack. It's a great soundtrack. And a lot of dialogue, not much happens.
And a lot of dialogue.
But I was like, okay. It's funny how like it's being pushed for like award stuff as like the script is so amazing. I'm like, is it really? I don't know. I'm a sucker for sports dramas.
Yeah,
that's why I wanted.
Okay. You know what? Honestly, I'll take that. I think that's a genuine reason to watch the movie.
You know something very psychotic. I was crying like a child at the end of Naiad, and it's because I was number one. It's like a very classic traditional sports drama, true story. But then like. Obviously, at the top, I didn't know that this woman was a lesbian. But when I saw like
they call actors thespians, Louie.
Done. They're holding the gay flag and it's like Queen of the Sea. And I was like, of course it's a white lesbian woman who wanted to fucking swim from Cuba to Florida. It just gets me. It just gets me. And I have no shame for being a Naiad stan. Okay? So take that.
I didn't see it, so I can't. I wasn't rushing out to see the Jodie Foster film about swimming.
Jodie Foster and Annette Bening as like two lesbians who like are just gal pals who want to like fucking break records at 60 plus years old. Oh, sold. Done. Let's see. Did you watch Beau is Afraid?
No. I feel once again, I feel like I'm the worst. I'm so sorry, audience. I don't like Ari Aster. I don't. And I just am at the point in my life where I'm like, if I know I'm not going to like something, like if I've given it a shot, I'm not saying like I'm prejudging something. Like I saw Midsummer. I saw Hereditary. I saw his short film that he did for his college thesis, which disgusted me. And so I was just like, you know what? Life's short. I don't need to see his movies.
I didn't watch it because it's described as a surrealist tragicomedy horror. None of those words really speak to me, I would say, but good for Ari Aster getting to do whatever the fuck he wants, I guess.
I will say, had we not already done a Parker Posey episode, I would maybe have ended up watching it because she's in it. But now, you know, much like Genie at the end of Aladdin, I'm free. Clink, clink.
So sorry, that is gone, baby. I wanted to mention a great March release, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret.
Yes, okay, yeah.
Oh my goodness. First of all, Rachel McAdams, you will always be famous. She's so good in this movie.
That scene, and like, I'm not spoiling anything, it's around Twitter, the scene of her telling her daughter, Margaret, why she doesn't talk to her parents anymore.
Yeah.
I was like sobbing, and I was like, why am I sobbing?
It's devastating.
And, like, yeah.
So, we don't see my parents because, they don't want to.
What?
My mom and dad are very, very devout Christians. And before you were born, when your dad and I first fell in love, they told me that it would be very hard for them to have a Jewish son-in-law. They told me it would be very hard for them to have a Jewish son-in-law. And that if I wanted to marry him, that was my business, but I wouldn't be their daughter anymore.
But you are their daughter.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, you know, every child in that film, star. From Margaret to her little cunty friend to her like good friends, they are all so good and giving such grounded, fully realized, fully human performances of like tween girls who have inner life. They're not just plot points, you know, they are people. And it's just so good. I don't know how Benny Safdie is in so many movies all of a sudden. Let's just say that.
He's really, I mean, he's like, I'm going to do a lot. I'm going to do the acting.
Yeah. And then I can't forget Miss Kathy Bates, former subject of the podcast.
And just truly amazing in her role as the grandmother, like, and just so witty and funny and like, you know, nobody's doing it like Kathy Bates.
No.
I will say, just as a side adjacent to Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, which is a film I loved, so I'm not denigrating it in any way possible. I did see a really good side, like, listen, this was the last year was the year I deleted my Twitter, so I try to stay off it as much as I can, but I am on the Mixed Reviews Twitter every now and then, and I did see a really interesting conversation between comedian Guy Branum and Kelly Fremont Craig, who directed Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, where essentially he was like, it kind of sucks that you cast a fat kid to be the like quote unquote gross kid, the like weird and undesirable. And she's like, listen, this kid unsolicitedly sent us a tape and I knew I needed to have him in the movie. I loved him so much. He gave such a good performance that I gave him this role. Like, and would you just like rather me not cast him because he's fat? And Guy Brennan was like, I'm not saying that, but I am saying, like, look at the role you chose to give him based on, and like, think about what you're saying about how you feel about heavyset people. And I was like, you know, honestly, I can see his point. I don't think he's wrong. Like, but
yeah,
I do love the movie. But
yeah.
I just, you know, it's our podcast. I figure I get to talk about whatever I want to talk about.
Say that. In May, another, I think, really excellent queer movie worth mentioning, Monica, starring Trace Lysette, and absolute stunner actress Patricia Clarkson. Just like such a, you know, good, I mean, a vibey movie for sure.
Yeah, a quiet, thoughtful, paced, like kind of a, I don't want to say like languid implies bad, but not bad. I as an editor was like, I could maybe cut 20 minutes out of this, but I really liked it. I love Trace Lysette's performance in it. Patricia Clarkson gives like a hard to watch at points performance.
Patricia Clarkson has dementia, right? Like she's
yeah.
So she's slowly, you know, this degenerative disease is making her mind, you know, deteriorate.
And her daughter, just for people who don't know what Monica's about,
is trans.
And her daughter is trans, and she's come back home kind of in a downbeat way to like see her before she passes, and agrees to kind of be a caretaker for her.
But not the premise, but the idea is that like the mother does not know that this is her child.
Yes.
They purposely don't tell her. And the struggle and strife that ensues with Monica trying to live her life and but also, you know, be part of the family. She reconnects with her brother who hasn't seen her since she transitioned. Beautiful performances all around.
Yeah. And Trace Lysette, like, really, she's a fucking star.
Oh,
and
my God.
hopefully gets cast in many more things. And, like, this was a passion project of hers. I think she spent over 2 years trying to get it made. And
yeah, I mean, like, she was a star, you know, since her pageant days. In Hustlers, she has, like, maybe 5 lines.
I forgot she's in Hustlers. Yeah, there's so many people in Hustlers.
Yeah, she's so amazing.
Monica's come to help us.
What are you doing? I told you I don't want anybody from hospice.
No, she's not from hospice. It's okay. Brendan,
I'm not dying, Laura.
I know.
Okay,
I know. It's okay.
It's okay. I don't need any help.
No.
You know I can do things on my own, by myself. You know that. And I am ready.
Yeah.
Did you watch The fucking Little Mermaid?
No, I didn't. Sorry. I'm sure it was fine. I wasn't avoiding it. It just wasn't high on my list.
I saw it and I did not like it. I'm sorry. Lin-Manuel Miranda, you'll pay for your sins. I also think
I bind you, Lynn. I bind you from doing harm to yourself and others.
And this nation. I think Hailey Bailey?
I think it's Holly Bailey.
I think it's Holly Bailey. She is a star, but I don't know if she
Hailey Bailey. Sorry.
Hailey Bailey.
Holly
Bailey.
I'll let you continue.
Holly Bailey, I think she is a star. I just don't think she maybe fully got the assignment on this. Like, one of the great things about the original anime movie is when she can't talk, she's very expressive and she has to like emote.
Oh.
In this, it just felt like she was on autopilot. The best actress in this entire gig is the girlie that they got to play Vanessa, which is Ursula. Like when Ursula turns into like the hot girlie. Yeah. She was giving a performance. She was eating them all up.
I've heard that as much as we love Melissa McCarthy, we did an entire episode on her. You can feel free to go back and listen to that.
It was
I
fine.
heard that she was one of the weaker links of it too. I heard that she just really wasn't giving it. You know, if there was any place to like, speaking of camp, like if there was any place to camp it up, Little Mermaid was it, guys.
Yeah, it was very fine. Also, I think the movie suffers from the classic fucking scourge of bad lighting in movies.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to look at real fish. Real fish are gross.
They are gross. In June, we got Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I will say I enjoyed it, but that is not a complete movie, is what I would say.
Thank you. Listen, I know part 1 was on the advertisements for it, but even when I went to see it, I went to Alamo Drafthouse to see it during a showing where it's one of their not rowdy screenings, but screenings where they do allow like because it's kids and you have to accept that. I always think it's so funny when I run across an adult that's like, I went to a kids movie and the kids are being so rowdy, and it's like, well, what did you think?
That was literally me watching The Little Mermaid. I was like, oh, I made a mistake coming to a 3:00 Sunday showing of Little Mermaid. Of course, kids are running around.
But it gets to the end of that movie and it says to be continued, and I literally heard an adult man go, "What?" Yeah. So I saw... No, it was frustratingly not. And I had that argument with my brother-in-law over the holidays. He was like, I was like, I liked it. I was like, I did not think it was as good as the first one. And he's like, oh, I thought it was better. And I was like, it wasn't a complete movie.
No, the first one I think is a masterpiece. This is good, but I feel like I've had this conversation with someone before, being like, if we're gonna keep it in the superhero realm, like, the fucking Avengers Part 1 and Part 2, those are like complete movies. Like Thanos snaps, and then like that's a whole story, and then the second part is like bringing it back. This truly is like, and then we got the gang together to be continued. I was like, that's not a whole movie.
Exactly.
But yeah, fucking long movie too. I couldn't believe it.
Well, and that's the other problem, right? Like, how are you gonna be like not create a complete arc for a film? And listen, there were other movies that, like Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning Part 1, which I guess it's no longer Part 1, it's just called Dead Reckoning, is a complete narrative. It doesn't achieve the ultimate end goal, which is this dissolution of this evil AI but like it ends in a place where you're like, wow, I watched an arc. Yeah, exactly. Going smaller, Past Lives comes out in June, which everyone was really lit for. I think there's a lot of people who still are like on the Past Lives train. Where do you fall on Past Lives? I liked it. It didn't blow me away. And I like weirdly, like, it's difficult to talk about, I think, because it is such a clearly personal story.
Sure.
And I don't think it's like really, I've heard some people describe it as like a story about a woman reacquainting herself with a lost love. I don't think that's right. I don't think that's what it's about. Like, but I do think you have strong emotions that you feel about people that change over time. And I do think that's a very real thing. And I also think that like culturally she experienced something very different, and that changed for her and everything. I guess we should explain that to people. Past Lives.
Greta Lee is a woman who, as a little girl, she grew up in Korea. When she's around, 7 to 12-ish, her and her family moved to Canada. And she leaves behind a boy she likes. And from Canada, she immigrates again to New York City to go to school because she wants to be a writer. While she's in school in New York, she gets a Facebook message from the boy that she, had this relationship with. He's now a young adult man, and they kind of have a flirtation over the internet. She decides it's too difficult. Like,
right.
He's
the
never going to...
distance is too much.
Yeah. And so they separate again. She says, maybe we shouldn't talk as much. And then she ends up falling in love with another writer at a retreat, and they get married and have a full life. And then, time has passed, and her friend that she had this relationship with finally visits New York as an adult man. And they kind of have just like this kind of weekend, I guess, of hanging out, reconnecting. The thing that I love most about this movie is it's not, yes, there is like this like what if scenario, but like it's a lot of talk about, LOL, their past lives, like this idea of, in another life, maybe we were together. In another life, maybe, she says this thing like, maybe another life I was a branch and you were a bird sitting on me. And I just thought like, there's a lot of like ideas and thoughts that I thought were really beautiful. It's a slow movie, quiet movie. Yeah, I think the scene at the very end when they're all sitting at the bar talking together, I was just like, wow, this conversation is so tough, but
Right.
they landed the dialogue very well. It doesn't feel, I mean, for all the awkwardness and uncomfortableness of like being like a husband to like, you know, this woman who's reconnecting with a childhood like crush or whatever, it's really just like a sophisticated movie. So
And not to take anything away from the two leads who are both Asian, Teo Yu and Greta Lee, but John Magaro, who plays Greta Lee's husband, is also amazing, like scene-stealingly amazing. He has a really amazing moment in the third act of the movie, even before like she really reconnects with this guy, and it's not really a three-hander because there are other people in it, but it kind of feels like a three-hander between them.
yeah, for sure.
Are you attracted to him?
I don't think so. I don't know. I mean, I don't think so. He was just this kid in my head for such a long time. And then he was just this image on my laptop. And now he is a physical person. It's really intense, but I don't think that that's attraction. I think I just missed him a lot. I think I miss Soul.
Did he miss you?
I think he missed the 12-year-old crybaby he knew a long time ago.
You were a crybaby?
Yeah. Most of the time, he'd have to just stand there and watch me.
When is he leaving again?
I saw Asteroid City, and I like come and go with Wes Anderson. This movie, I was just like, oh, do you like yourself? Do you love being Wes Anderson? Do you love like cinema and film? Is everything you make so important?
First of all, I'm with you, and so I think this is going to upset maybe some of the cinephiles in the audience. I know so many people who think Asteroid City is really deep, and I don't. I think it's all very surface, and I think if you bring yourself to whatever art there is, that's a given. When you have to, like, I've seen people bend over backwards to be like, it's so deep, like you can't wake up if you don't fall asleep. Oh my God, the meaning. And it's like, no, babes, no. It's like, it's just all like, he is so seemingly closed off from, so sheltered from everything in himself, and it just comes across on screen. And like, yeah, I love his like Rube Goldberg-y type designs and whatnot. Like, that's interesting to me. I know that he loves Jacques Tati. Like, I can see it on the screen, but like, I just found it so hollow and so uninteresting. And like, just especially like picking a specific time period like that, like the 1950s, like post-war, using Edward Norton as this like Tennessee Williams type character, and not putting in any sort of nuance from that time period, not giving us like anything that has to do with anything that occurred, then the like post-war malaise and the like, none of it just didn't do anything for me. I don't know.
Yeah, I felt like an exercise in like insufferability. Like, it's just just far too much. And I don't care. Yeah. Like, if film snobs, go have fun, with this movie.
And that's fine. When, once again, I feel like I'm getting to the age where I'm just like, yeah, I've given you enough shots. Like, I don't like...
Yeah. I loved The Blackening, which we talked about in our slasher films. No Hard Feelings, which got Jennifer Lawrence. Yeah. Yes. Love her so much. Guess what I saw, Gavin?
What did you see?
Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken.
Oh, did you? I did not. But hey, for our former subject Jane Fonda is in that movie, so
someone had to watch the movie, Gavin. Okay, someone had to. We're getting into July, September. My goodness, I'm not going to. We're not going to talk about this movie a lot, but like, The Sound of Freedom is probably one of the worst things you could do with this art of filmmaking. I didn't watch it, but it is morally bankrupt. It is propaganda. It is just horrid.
I didn't see it either, but I did like. I had some family members who will not be named that were like, I want to see that, and I sent them some choice articles because I was like, no, you don't. It's frustrating. It was bound to happen at some point. Like this is the thing, the like right-wing propaganda arm has always had so much money. So it's shocking to me that they've not managed to find their way into the mainstream film industry sooner. And they like for the last 20 years, I feel like they're edging closer and closer. There was like the Atlas Shrugged, like that I think everybody sort of realized after the first one what it was and whatnot. But like this is a gross new level of just like fear mongering, spreading like patent lies and
it's giving credibility to a story that obviously is quite frightening, and it would be similarly false to say that human trafficking is not real. It is real. But this characterization of it and all the implications are just completely irresponsible. Right. So boo on that movie. I saw Joyride on a plane.
Joyride.
So fun.
A good plane movie, honestly.
Yes. Like everything for Ashley Park, everything for Stephanie Hsu. All those girls were a fucking riot. Theater Camp, another queer movie that is so silly and so dumb.
Yes, and I really enjoyed it. I will say this. My one complaint about Theater Camp is I did not feel like it had anything more new to say than the movie Camp, which came out 20 years ago.
And Camp is a great movie. So
yeah, but I mean, once again,
what movie could live up to Camp? None could. We're getting to, this is The Weeknd, Barbenheimer. She's here. I saw both of these movies. Dare we dive into the discourse, Gavin?
Sure. Let's discourse. The discourse.
Let's discourse. Let's start with Oppenheimer. I think Oppenheimer. First of all, I like Christopher Nolan. I didn't see Tenet, but I love unabashedly Interstellar.
I saw that video of the Peloton teacher, and it was you, Louie. You were the one that was like, Tenet, what was this? I want those 3 hours back.
I was a Peloton girly for quite a while. Oppenheimer, I quite liked. I thought it was very, like, there are moments when I was like, this is a script, and we are reading a script to like, and I think it's because some of the dialogue is, there's so much exposition that they have to get through, right? Because it's such a very complicated subject. And I was like, humans don't talk this way, but at work. All those actors, I have nothing bad to say about them, but I think it is a little bit funny that I'm like, these are the girlies that like we're really talking about for awards. Again, I love Emily Blunt, Cillian Murphy, but I think Christopher Nolan and pulling off that movie is a lot more impressive than Robert Downey Jr. like yelling,
Fair.
But I do think it's a very big movie. It's a beautiful movie. It's a very complicated subject that they're able to, put together in a package. I will say, didn't feel long. I got right through her. I was like, wow, this is very interesting. So yeah, I think I'm a little cooler on it than most people, but like I did love like at the end fucking Rami Malek being like, here are my 2 lines to fuck Robert Downey Jr. I was like, work. Love it. Yeah, interesting movie. What do you think about it?
I didn't see it.
You didn't see Oppenheimer?
No.
Wow.
And I have nothing against it. I'm also like, I'm sort of indifferent when it comes to Christopher Nolan. I think sometimes he says some things that I'm just like, okay, like let's.
Well, first of all, love is the fourth dimension, Gavin. So
exactly.
Think about that.
He is the man who put love is the, I think it's fifth dimension, but into Anne Hathaway's mouth, and for that he will.
And I live.
I was gonna say for that he will always be famous. But yeah, no, I just never got around to. I just kept. I know a lot of people loved it. I just kept being like, that's awfully long time for me to watch that movie.
I will say, if you're afraid of the length, it doesn't feel like, like, oh god, it's still fucking going, because it is very well paced. I think all the actors do a good job. I think Christopher Nolan has enough style that like it feels like there's interesting choices. People were like weirded out by some of like the sex scene stuff. Like, grow the fuck up, okay? Like,
yeah, exactly. People have sex, whatever.
Yeah, and like it's called style. Like, this is not reality. Right. He's making a movie, babes.
It's so funny when you listen to him talk. Like, it's always like, why isn't Christopher Nolan making more things like the Quay brothers or like John Svankmajer? Like, he makes these very like kind of mainstreamy movies for being such a weird guy. And listen, I feel like he's also been a really class act on this press tour that I'm sure he didn't want to do because he does not like doing them. But like, even, like Spike Lee bringing up like, it would have been nice to see something from the Japanese point of view of all the people that died from the atomic bomb.
Yeah.
And Christopher Nolan being like, yeah, you know what? He has a point. And like, it's not in the movie. Like,
yeah. I mean, it's Christopher Nolan likes making ambitious movies about big ideas and like zeroing them in on like humans. And so like with this, like Cillian Murphy, and you see like this genius going through it because of, this thing he's made. Yeah. Okay. Well, how about we talk about Barbie then?
I did see that.
I saw Barbie. First of all, I think there was no purer joy than seeing Barbie in the theater with other people who were so excited to see it. Whether you like the movie or not, there is always something about going into a theater with like a big group of people and like experiencing it together. That's just fucking fun. People dressing up, like, I live.
And there was even like I'd forgotten about that. That's a good point. There were like gaggles of people dressed up at the screening. I went with my good friends Nicole and Alex, and we had a blast. So
yeah, I remember thinking like I had a great experience in the theater that I feel better about than the actual movie, is what I'll say. I think the movie is gorgeous. Production design, gorgeous. I love a good musical moment. Unfortunately, I think in the end, I fall more on like, I think Ken's story was more interesting.
I agree with you. And I just wanted to stop you briefly. Can we stop pretending I'm Just Ken is a good song? Now, is it, has enough time passed that we can pretend? And like, I like the musical number. I think it's a lot of fun, but it's a bad song. It's not good. It's not that entertaining.
Is I'm Just Ken the one where they're like on the beach dancing?
Yeah, it's all the different, it's like moments, on the beach and then like on the stairs, and it looks looks like a Powell and Pressburger movie. And
yeah, I think the visuals are better than the song for sure.
Yes. It just everybody keeps being like, oh, it's going to be nominated for best song, and then it won at the Critics' Choice Awards, I believe, for best song. And it's just like, guys, we gotta find a better song if we're like, come on.
Yeah. I'm not a I'm Just Ken stan at all. So fuck it. But my criticism Barbie land on like, I don't know why Greta felt like she needed to like Wikipedia Barbie for us. Like,
right. I remember you saying that. You brought that up. I'm trying to think what episode you brought that up, because we did talk a little bit about it. And you did mention that. Yeah.
It has felt a little bit strange. I think she has a very good idea about like the story of Barbie and what her journey. I just would have loved more time with America Ferrera and her daughter rather than like talking about, the inventor of Barbie and her life. It's like, okay, well, that's just Wikipedia.
Which is also really funny because people were really invested in whether it was getting original screenplay or adapted screenplay, as though saying that something is adapted means that somehow it's lesser than, which I think is a weird takeaway. A new bit of conversation that I feel like has not really come up before in the discourse when it comes to the Academy Awards. And once again, the reason why I hate prognosticating about awards, because I think it really just brings out the worst in people when here's the thing. We do this show and we tell you what we like and what we don't like, but that doesn't mean that we're 100% right. And like having a consensus on art is boring. And so like that, it's one of those things that drives me crazy. That it's like, no, this was the best movie of the year. And it's like, I guess I'm sure if you really loved Green Book was the best movie of the year for you. Fucking weirdo. But
not Green Book.
Right. And so like, exactly. That's why I used it as the example. But it was just wild to like see this conversation devolve into basically being like, if it's adapted, it's less than. And it's like, no, it's not. It still takes a lot of effort to adapt things. And so I'm going to guess, based on what you just said, you believe it's an adapted screenplay. I believe it's an adapted screenplay.
I don't know that it matters. I don't care. You could tell me either.
Well, also that. But
I don't care whether it's adapted or not. What I'm getting at is I think it's a beautiful movie. I think everyone is acting their fucking faces off, and it's so funny. Like every single Barbie and Ken, they're all amazing. And very good. I just think like that was always going to be a very hard thing to do. And I think like there are some choices where I'm just like, why can't Barbie Land have all the things? Like, why did Barbie have to leave? What the fuck? That feels weird to me.
I just want to end the Barbie conversation by saying thank you, Greta Gerwig, for the Stephen Malcolmus joke in the movie. I was the only one who laughed in the theater that I was in. I really appreciate it.
She did it for you, babe. That was all for you.
I mean, in the director's roundtable, I saw her being like, I put in a Stephen Malcolmus joke. I have no idea who that's for. Me. It's
and
me.
You said, I'm right here, babe.
There's just some very obscure jokes, which I can't believe are in the movie. Like a Proust Barbie joke. That was... I don't know. I heard one woman in New York laugh at that joke, so I thought, oh, that's for you. There's a Stephen Malcolmus pavement joke, which I was like, that's a deep cut.
Next month we get Bottoms, which I don't think I'm as on as everyone else is, but I think it's bonkers and crazy, and it's for younger people, but great.
I think my only complaint is I almost wish it committed to the bit a little more. Like it's you know what? It's literally the same problem I had with Megan, where like I think it needed to sort of choose what it wanted to be a little bit more and go heavier into. But I liked it. I had a lot of fun. I laughed my fucking face off.
Yeah, Iowa Berry is a star. Rachel Sennett is a star.
Our greatest Irish star currently working.
Yes, I saw her out there in the country land. Let's see. Breezing through September, anything interesting? I saw that you saw Cassandra.
Yes.
I saw Cassandra. A movie that like weirdly is very fine. But like for such a like
I think
louder,
less fine.
I just think like I like obviously Gael Garcia Bernal, but like this character of this guy just seems so much bigger than this movie, if that makes sense.
I think that's 100% correct.
It's a movie about a Mexican wrestler who he's gay, and yeah, it's based off a documentary. Is that right?
Well, it's funny because it is based off a documentary, but it's not based off the good documentary. There is a documentary from a couple of years ago called Cassandro the Exotico.
Mm-hmm.
And that movie's great. And I saw that in the theater and like really, and it was interesting. And his life story is so much more interesting than the movie allows for. Like the movie really gives this like deranged paint by numbers, like biopic thing that I think just doesn't work. I love Gael. He's too old for this role. Like Cassandra was like 20 when all this was happening. He's clearly in his late 40s.
Yeah.
I just don't understand any of the choices that were made in the movie, and I really recommend. This is another thing. Soapbox time. watch more documentaries, please. Like, please, I beg of you, as an audience, even as people who don't normally listen to the show, I see so many really well-respected film critics who cannot put a single documentary into their top 10. And I'm not saying you have to. I'm not saying there's a criteria. But if I follow you and year after year you put out a top 10 list and there's not a single documentary in the year that you liked that can possibly crack your top 10.
Criminal.
There's like, broaden your horizons. That's all I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
And yeah, I was really frustrated with Cassandra. I really did not enjoy it.
We had 2 movies this year that were the 10th installments of their films. We had earlier in the year Fast X, which
yes.
I don't know if people saw.
I saw it for our Michelle Rodriguez episode.
I don't know. I saw a handful of those movies. I cannot tell you which one.
I won a you would have known it was in the theaters, but
also we got Saw X. Which is wild. I can't believe that. I mean, I guess I started watching those movies.
I guess.
I was like, I guess a lot of time has passed since these movies came out when I saw them in like college in 2005 or whatever.
Yeah. I also saw them in college.
Very, very wild.
I guess this one was kind of a prequel. Like, it takes place between the first and the second movie.
Sure. Some shit. Yeah. Dix the Musical. My God.
My God. Game changer.
I know some people love this movie. I
really liked it, so
not for me.
Listen, not everything's for everybody,
Yeah, Brooklyn comedy is a scourge, and
see, I don't think it's just Brooklyn comedy.
It is Brooklyn comedy.
There is much more like Dime Square type shit out there that like is not worth your time. But like this, I don't know.
The best part of this movie, Megan Thee Stallion. She's so good.
Yes, she's great. Yeah.
Talk about stars.
I thought you were gonna say Megan Mullally, who I also thought was really great in it.
Yeah,
sometimes she's doing too much, but
yeah. I think we're now in October. Must be said, the Taylor Swift documentary. We had two of the most famous women on the planet, Beyonce and Taylor Swift, not only put on the biggest shows on the planet, but put them into movie theaters for people to see. I would argue that the Taylor Swift movie is it's just a concert. It's just a concert. There's no, she's not talking about the process. She's not giving us anything. It's just the show, and the show's good. So whatever. Renaissance was like Beyonce had a script, babe. She fucking wrote her dialogue. She had an arc. She showed us going home. I think both are great. Both of those women are great. God bless. I will take all of the pop girly content from both Taylor Swift and Beyonce. Love them both.
I didn't see either of them because nobody invited me to go see them. So,
wow, Gavin, really throwing the guilt on thick, huh?
Yeah, just saying. Like, I sat home and just twiddled my thumbs. Just saying. I'm fun, damn it.
You like
I'm fun.
You softly singing to yourself. You won't break my soul.
Yeah.
While a single tear drops.
Just a single tear, exactly. And then turns to dust on my skin because I'm that evil.
Also in October, a big movie, Killers of the Flower Moon. Martin Scorsese, another 3-hour epic.
Yeah, he's on my shirt.
There he is. Daddy. Film daddy. What'd you think about this movie?
I loved it. I really did love it. And I want to preface that by saying I totally understand the criticisms that are coming from the Indigenous community. I'm sure it's a very difficult watch, and I'm sure like it's not a great feeling to watch, to feel re-victimized by the content on screen. And yeah, I don't know. I thought it was really brilliant. I think he does a really good job of conveying a really complicated story in which all the white people are bad. And I think if you walk away thinking that the white people in this movie are in any way good,
you're
fucked up. Yeah, exactly. And I don't know. It's I think there's a lot of the conversation about what is this really Martin Scorsese's story to tell. I think if you've seen it and you see the ending, I think he's acknowledging that that
was a gag. It was a gag.
Yeah, that he's unsure if it's his story to tell, and does this just become white entertainment? But it's a complicated question.
But it gets back to like the question you brought up with Guy Branum and the director of Are You There, Margaret? Are You There, God, It's Me, Margaret? Like, you know, is it better that the story's not told at all?
Right. And like half of me fully understands and truly, and the other half of me like hates that argument as well, because it's like, but like, we're so broken that there should be an indigenous filmmaker who could make this movie and get that amount of money from Apple, and like it's frustrating that they can't. And like,
right. I mean, but like I was thinking about this today. I watched American Fiction today, and I was thinking about, you know, the conversation inevitably comes up of like, you know, representation of you know, Black people in media for such a long time was just like slavery, rappers, thugs.
Right.
I think about, you know, representation of like Latinos in film, and like, and almost every single like working actor from the time says like, bitch, I had to put food on the table.
Right.
Like there is, so I understand all these arguments, and I obviously sympathize, and all those things should be true. Yes. But also like the reality is these actors, you know, are doing what they have to do to get out there and work and, you know, climb that ladder, right?
And I mean, in the offshoot of that conversation, all the stuff that went down with Taraji P. Henson this year surrounding The Color Purple, and how like she like is seriously considering giving up acting because she's been in this business for so long. She's not being paid her due, and and just like the other stars of the movie, like not getting the treatment they deserve. And I know there are people out there that are like, well, why do they need a driver? And it's like, it's a liability. Like I don't understand how simple things of asking, you know, to receive the treatment that you deserve gets people so riled up,
right?
In opposition.
If Warner Brothers could pay for Margot Robbie to get a driver to set on Barbie,
right,
Warner Brothers can pay for Taraji P. Henson to get a driver to set. Period. And yeah,
but I mean, but it's all a system. It's all a system of inequality. And like, I'm very happy that Martin Scorsese made this movie, and I think it's a really beautiful film. And like, it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know. It's like a minefield to like talk about, to like get the right thing. But hopefully, that being said, I really like the movie a lot.
Yeah, I really like the movie too. And hopefully, like, with all these things, like I just want, like, how do we build on this? How do we build on this? Lily Gladstone, icon, so good, wonderful actress, just like fucking stunting in front of Robert De Niro and Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yes.
So,
yeah. And if you've not seen the Kelly Reichardt film Certain Women, which is a triptych of stories, she's in the last story with Kristen Stewart. It's so beautiful. And so like I fucking love Lily Gladstone, and I'm happy to see her really getting the flowers that she deserves.
In November, you know, now we're getting into like kind of award season, obviously with Killers of the Flower Moon. We mentioned the Marvels, boring, whatever.
Wasn't a fan either.
I saw Dream Scenario and I was like, not even beautiful gowns, beautiful thoughts. But like, I don't think it lands what it's trying to land. What else? They made another Hunger Games movie.
Yeah. Also, late or beginning of October, end of September, I just want to point out that I was once again the editor, the lead editor for New York Film Festival, and there was a lot of great movies that came out during that time. And unfortunately, I didn't get to see a ton, but I did get to see May December while it was there, which eventually ended up coming out in November, I believe, to Netflix. And just truly loved that movie and could talk about May December for ages. And then I unfortunately also saw Maestro there, and I saw Ferrari there. And
wait, yeah, Maestro. I will say, so I watched Maestro like last week. The thing is, I think Carey Mulligan is astounding in that film. Like I
would agree in the back half. I think she's awful in the first half, and I think it comes from the direction.
Yeah, it's fair. I mean, I guess I certainly do more remember her in the back half. I think her dressing down of Maestro. Leonard. I think that part's really good. I don't know.
I'm gonna save what I'm gonna say about that for a brief moment. I'm just gonna put that on pause for a second.
Okay, let's move on from Maestro then. Yeah, May December, delicious, slimy, disgusting, great. And December. I saw American Fiction today. It was fine. It was fine. There's a really good piece written by Kendall Cunningham, who used to work at the Daily Beast, about how this movie isn't as smart as it thinks it is. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Like, the movie just doesn't... I think there's a lot of movies that really didn't, like, slap as hard as they needed to with these, like, big think things. I saw this. I would argue All of Us Strangers, kind of same deal.
Oh, interesting. That played New York Film Festival, and I unfortunately didn't get a chance to see it, and I've still yet to see it. And I want to, but...
I think it's a beautiful movie. I think I love all the actors and Jamie Bell. Why don't we put him in more things? Yeah. He is so good. He can dance.
I was going to say little Billy Elliot. He's all grown up.
But unfortunately, I just think the movie in the end is like kind of brutal. Not a lot changes. I don't want to spoil it, but like it is kind of devastating. So like there are a lot of sniffles and this and that and good, great. But I walked out being like, after the shock of it, I was like, that movie's not going to stay with me. But I do love Andrew Scott. He everyone in that movie is a very good actor. So, how could I forget? LOL Saltburn. What a moment.
Yeah.
What a cultural moment for everyone.
Seemingly, right?
I feel like you have some thoughts on Saltburn, Gavin.
Yeah, that it's bad.
Wow.
It's just toothless. It's not saying anything. It's like it's a movie that is essentially like the fable that rich people tell their children to like not befriend poor people because they're all gonna come for their money. Like, it's so gross. I don't know. And it's so funny because people are like, it's like The Talented Mr. Ripley. It wants what The Talented Mr. Ripley has. Like, he at least had a plan. Like, come on.
You didn't think this guy has a plan?
Not really. Like, it was all so stupid. It's not convincing. That's what I'm telling you. It seems so stupid. It's very stupid.
Well, gag me because I fucking loved it. I thought it was fun. I was, again, one of those movies where I saw it in theaters with a bunch of people, and just like the rush of everyone like guffawing and the rush of like everyone just like laughing, and it is a ridiculous movie.
What a good soundtrack.
Great soundtrack.
Yeah.
I'm not even like a Jacob Elordi stan person, but like
Teenage Frankenstein's fine. Whatever.
Yeah. I think I don't know if I have a lot of thoughts on Emerald Fennell, whatever the fuck, but she can write some fucking good dialogue here and there.
Yeah, no, and I do think there's some funny stuff. I don't know. I also find her like when people are like, oh my god, it's so shocking, and it's like, I don't know, watch a John Waters movie. Like, come on.
I don't think it's like, I mean, there is some shocking stuff in there, but it's just like, I think it's shocking because she's operating in such like the mainstream.
Interesting. Yeah.
And like the idea, it is absolutely taboo to be showing a man eating a woman's menstrual blood on camera. And not only just eating it, but like, thank goodness of a vampire. Like, it's just like, she fucking like grabs you by the neck, holds you up against the wall, and then like kisses you. Like, it's just the sister, incredible performance.
Yeah, speaking of Carey Mulligan, I truly like, I walked away from this movie being like, why doesn't, like, they could easily do like Ab Fab with Carey Mulligan and
Rosamund
Pike. I was like literally Carey Mulligan's just doing Adina Monsoon. Like, I was like,
I think, like, whether you like this movie or not, I think it is a I like that people are able to like dive into it and grab out like, oh, this is dumb, or like, oh, this was profound, or whatever. There's just a lot to like chew on.
Yes.
And I like that because sometimes you like I walked away from All of Us Strangers and I was like, okay. You know, it's one thing. This movie seems to be like a lot of things. And I will say, after I got out of that theater, I said, I want to go be gay and do crime. So, yeah.
It's just slightly bad form, that's all.
What's bad form?
What do you think? Getting with Venetia, Ollie.
What makes you think I got with Venetia?
Farley saw you two. Just fucking cringe, mate. I mean, really, you're my friend. You're supposed to be here with me.
I didn't want to embarrass Venetia.
What do you mean?
Well, I saw her outside, and I went down to see was she okay, and I think she got the wrong end of the stick because she tried to kiss me, and I politely stirred her away.
Farley said you two were practically eating each other.
Oh, and you believe him? Me and Venetia? Come on.
You know, there was a couple movies that came out in December that I didn't get to watch that I wish I did, but I didn't get around to seeing The Iron Claw. I want to see Zac Efron in his little wig. I didn't see all of like the foreign films that people are losing their shit about. I want to see Fallen Leaves very badly.
I just saw Fallen Leaves. It's great. It's so cute and so adorable. And I read somebody's review that was like, this is boring. And it's like, I'm sorry that you can't place yourself in somebody else's experience. Like, if you've ever been like, it's a movie about, it's like a beautiful little romance that is so like dryly funny, but also like, it's also about poverty. It's about like, the constant like threat of war is constantly playing on their radios because they're listening about all the stuff going on in Ukraine, and like I don't know, it's so deep but also like really just made me fucking laugh. So
that's amazing. I did see Poor Things.
Oh, did you? I need to see it. It's still on my list. Yeah.
Another movie that I thought, this is a wrong comparison because I enjoyed Poor Things, but it did give me the same initial gut reaction of Asteroid City, where I was like, this movie likes itself a lot. And
I feel that way about Saltburn, so that's, you know.
Yeah, fair. I just think like the thesis of Poor Things is so simple, right? Like, you woman learning things.
Right.
But like, especially at the beginning, like, I was like, okay, Yorgos, you are really just showing the fuck off. And like, it's kooky booky Tim Burton time in Yorgos Lanthimos' town. Emma Stone's great. She's always great. So, you know, there's that. I didn't see Zone of Interest or Anatomy of the Fall, which people seem to be raving all about with Miss Sandra Hüller.
Yes, I have not seen Zone of Interest yet, but I did see Anatomy of the Fall, and I thought it was fine. I don't know. I think there's some directorial choices in it that I'm like, this feels really unmotivated, and I that really like took me out of it. And like, but she is Sandra Hüller is amazing in it. Like, she gives truly one of the best performances of the year in a movie that I thought was fine. So like, I think that's, you know, it's such a dichotomy sometimes.
Last two movies I think we should bring up, The Boy and the Heron.
Yes.
That came out earlier, a couple months ago.
Yeah, a couple months ago.
I was kind of shocked at how soft and quiet the movie was. I was perhaps expecting more big, emotional, magical things happening, but it's not that at all. It's literally a movie about how all things end, and you know, how it's like, it feels like it's one of those movies like with no moral, because it's just like, it just is what it is. You know, everything falls apart. Everything goes away. Of course, it's a beautiful movie. It's a Miyazaki film. Is it my favorite Miyazaki film? No. It was fine.
Yeah. I unfortunately have not got to see it. That's going to be my big refrain this year, I guess. There were a lot of things I really wanted to see. I didn't even make a top 10 video like I normally do. Who knows what's happening with me? Who knows?
Who knows? Did you see The Color Purple?
I didn't. No, and I want to. I do.
I saw that with friend of the pod, Samantha Stallard, and I really like it. I think all those women are stars. Talk about queer cinema, baby. Like, Suge and Celie.
I was going to say, is it like more, is it less hidden in this one?
Oh, they have a whole song about being in love together, and like, amazing. They actually like kiss on the mouth, and like, she's bathing her.
They kiss on the mouth?
They kiss on the mouth.
Like adults?
I think the movie is very, very good, but it just suffers. I'm excited for you to watch it and let me know when you do, because there's so many like big musical scenes and like the lighting is just so fucking bad. I'm like, these costumes, I think they're really beautiful and I wish I could see them better.
Oh, no.
And we were like in the front row and like I was like, I get that there's not like fucking lights in this like, you know, southern town in Georgia, like inside, but like, I don't give a fuck. This is a musical, babe. Like, I'm not here for reality. I'm here for like spectacle. And that includes lights. But yeah, Danielle Brooks, fucking killer star icon, incredible. She's just a beast. And yeah, I love her so much and I want everything for her in this life. So there's that. Okay, that was like our extreme zoom through the year of film. Should we, Gavin, talk about maybe some of the things we didn't quite like? Things that disappointed us. Okay, LOL, I saw Foe, which was...
also played New York Film Festival.
By Garth Davis, starring the Irish girly Saoirse Ronan and Paul Mescal, who maybe is Irish. I don't fucking know.
He is.
Great. I don't know why these two Irish people are making or are in this movie about like the future and they're in America and they're like from the South or whatever. Garth Davis.
I believe the directors of that ilk as well.
Garth Davis, who is probably best known for making Lion back in 2016 with Nicole Kidman. Lion is a manipulative movie, but it worked on me, bitch. I like Lion.
Garth Davis is actually from Australia, so I don't know.
What's the deal? I just had a lot of like, I was like, oh, I love Saoirse so much. She can do no wrong, but this movie doesn't know what it wants to do, wants to be. And mostly it was kind of just boring. There's like one twist in the middle, but it's not that interesting. You kind of, it's like, oh, they're replacing humans. I wonder who they've replaced. Like they tell you right up top that that's what they're doing. So yeah, Foe to me, I wanted so much because I'm a sucker for like emotional sci-fi stuff, and she just was not giving the way I wanted her to be giving.
I've not heard any good things about it.
Do you want to live mundane lives, or do you want to be part of something special and unique? You've been selected to live up there.
Okay, well, you're wasting your time because we haven't even been on an airplane and she dated.
I should clarify. I'm talking about you here, Junior. Only you.
Some of my biggest disappointments, I mean, there's a lot of the obvious ones. There's a lot of the, the Flash and the superhero movies that were really bad. I think maybe the one that I was a little surprised that I saw a lot of goodwill towards at the beginning of the year was Renfield, the Nicolas Cage, Dracula comedy. It's not funny. It was annoying more than anything. And it's another film of like, what does this want to be? Like, does this want to be a gross out comedy? Does this want to be like a rom-com? Does this want to, and it never like leans in any direction that makes sense. It also has no style, which is really unfortunate because there's a really great opening sequence where they recreate the original Bela Lugosi Dracula with Nicholas Hoult or Holt. Is it Holt?
I think it's Holt.
Yeah, with Nicholas Hoult and Nick Cage, and it's cool and unique, and like I just wish there was more stuff like that in the movie, and it just never comes back. But yeah, I think that's really my like biggest disappointment, just because I heard so many good things about it, and I was kind of like, huh.
I think maybe the worst movie I saw this year was a documentary that came out on Max titled Bama Rush.
I heard the trailer for that was real misleading.
It's just, as a journalist, watching this, I'm like, oh, you didn't have it. You didn't have a story, but you had sold the idea and you had to fill time. Like, I can smell a stunt, girly.
Yeah.
This is not about the rush process. She had to fill time with like weird stories. It's not weird. She tried to conflate the story of like these young women who have gone through all this like really horrible, traumas and are trying to find family and trying to find friends in the rush process with her alopecia.
Interesting.
I always like, I'm not the biggest fan of like when the filmmakers make themselves a story. And
yeah,
especially when it's like halfway through this movie, it just like comes to a screeching halt because the media gets a hold of like that they're making this movie and some girls drop out and the university is like, get the fuck out of here. Like, and I get it. That fucking sucks. But guess what? You don't have a movie anymore.
Yeah.
And trying to sell it to us as, this thing, it's disingenuous.
It's so shocking too, because there's so many movies that don't get made every year or get shelved, and like,
yeah,
to hear about a film that like clearly loses its own story midway through and yet still got put out and funded, and yeah, I could see hating that.
It's as if like Max was like, well, we wrote the check, I guess.
Yeah. If I had to pick a film that I disliked the most, it would have to be the Netflix original Christopher Landon directed We Have a Ghost, which was a film with Anthony Mackie and David Harbour, and it's about a ghost haunting a house. And it's, first of all, this was a 127-minute movie, so it was over 2 hours for this stupid premise. And on top of that, I know everybody was really excited about Christopher Landon doing Scream 7 before he backed out. And like, listen, I like Happy Death Day. I think Happy Death Day to You is fine. And I like Freaky. Freaky was fun.
Freaky's fun.
But this was awful. This was boring and had the most like tonality swings out of any movie that I saw, like and wasn't just annoying. And I think David Harbour is giving maybe a career worst performance, and I know everybody loves him because of Stranger Things, but like he has to do this thing because he can't talk because you can't hear ghosts, and so he's basically like Buster Keaton silly facing his way through the movie. It's awful, and it's so long, and I feel bad because like Tig Notaro's in it, and I love Tig Notaro, and they trick us into believing Jennifer Coolidge is in this movie when she's in the movie for like 7 minutes altogether. Like, yeah, it's bad.
Okay.
Do not waste your precious Netflix time on that.
All right, there's that. Okay, let's get into our Beautiful Gowns Award.
Okay, great gowns, beautiful gowns.
So for everybody who knows, every year during our recap, we do a Beautiful Gowns Award named after the late, great Aretha Franklin. When asked what she thought about Taylor Swift, she replied,
Beautiful gowns. Beautiful gowns.
And so we love to give a Beautiful Gowns Award, which is kind of a film that like is all style, no substance, let's say, and just like looks fine, didn't do it for us.
Yes, there's not a lot underneath the beautiful gowns. It's just
beautiful gowns.
It's beautiful gowns.
I already brought up my Beautiful Gowns movie. It's Maestro. I think Maestro is a fine looking film. I think certainly Bradley Cooper came in with a point of view with what he wanted to do with the movie. It has, it's, the looks 10, dance 3. Like it just doesn't carry any of it through. Like it, there was this meme going around that was like, like this is actual dialogue from Maestro, and it's like him being like, "Darling, why is 6 afraid of 7?" And I'd be like, "Oh, I couldn't possibly know. I've never met 6 before in my life." And like, "Oh, but darling, 7, 8, 9. Oh dear, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that." Like, and that's
very much the vibe, yeah. For
sure. Also, Leonard Bernstein's life is so interesting, and he did so many great things for music. And I'm not even saying that as like a Leonard Bernstein scholar. Like I have a very basic knowledge of the stuff that he did. He was more than being gay, and that's all this movie thinks the only thing that mattered about Leonard Bernstein's life was that he's gay. And I think it's so funny that we are a queer podcast. We talk about queer stuff all the time, but my God, there was more to this man's life than who he wanted to fuck.
Yeah,
and
it feels like Bradley was very glommed on to the fact, like, this genius who had to hide himself and hide his truth. And
which is so funny because he barely does.
Yeah.
And the point I'm going to take the pin out from earlier, the point I was going to make earlier, the scene where she dresses him down. I saw this at a press screening as part of the New York Film Festival. And during that scene, it comes to a head and she's like, "You're going to die a bitter old queen." And there's a big pause and the audience fucking died. And I've never felt so uncomfortable being in a room full of like mostly straight critics who think it's so funny to hear Carey Mulligan call Bradley Cooper a bitter old queen. And I was just like,
yeah,
we didn't need the pause, guys. Like we didn't need to, because it feels like it's like she's justified. And yeah, I was really turned off by the movie, but I will say, like, some fun little dance numbers towards the beginning and some great overhead shots. And like, the black and white looked really good. They lit the black and white really well. And so I just think for me, it's beautiful gowns.
I come on the movie less hard. I think the pause is great. Not to laugh, but just to be like, I mean, like, and then the Snoopy balloon goes by.
Well, the Snoopy balloon is funny. So to me, it's like just a miscalculation of like the timing's off. Like if the pause wasn't there and it just went right into the Snoopy, but the pause like gives it a different meaning. It like colors the meaning of it for me.
I think for me, it's the meaning I got was that like never before, at least what we were told in the movie, has she shamed him for his queerness. And this is the first time she's actually like making fun of him for his proclivities. Because, and she says like for a lot of their relationship, she has accepted that he is going to have sex with men and like, it's okay. And then it's not, like it.
Right.
Yeah. I
Ladies
think,
and their sensitivities.
Uh-huh. I just think also beyond that scene, I just think the scene where she's having lunch with Sarah Silverman, I think.
Yeah.
That fucking scene, devastating, where she's talking about, how life is not good. And maybe she was the one lying all along. It wasn't Leonard who was lying. It was her who was lying, that she was okay.
I will say this. That scene is very unfair to Sarah Silverman. And by that, I mean, you can't put an actress of
Carey
Mulligan's caliber in a scene with Sarah Silverman, because then it's just like, oh no, she's bad. Like,
I just think Carey Mulligan
just great,
is kind of astounding in the film.
Seems I'm attracted to a certain type.
Listen, Lenny loves you. He really does. He's just a man, a horribly aging man who cannot just be wholly one thing. He's lost.
I've always known who he is. He called me,
And?
He wants us all to go to Fairfield together for 2 weeks. He sounded different.
Felicia.
No, let's not make excuses. He didn't fail me.
Felicia.
No, it's my own arrogance to think I could survive on what he could give.
Clearly, Carrie is stunting all over him. Like, for all of his, like, pompousness, she is stunting all over him. And at the very least, he had the sense to be like, oh, she is actually what really is fucking killing all this. So he made space for her, and I appreciate that. Is it the best movie? No. But I do, I'm glad, I guess people can maybe, build upon. Someone was like, why is he making this movie about this queer person? At the very least, he did fill it with queer people. That's good. I always love seeing Michael Urie on the screen. So God bless.
It did also have a little bit of the walk hard problem. It wasn't as bad as something like Mank, but like a little bit of the like you introduce a historical character and they're like, you know, like, oh, that over there is Jerome Robinson, a choreographer. Like, okay. Like,
okay. Yeah, I was gonna try and like be clever, but I guess I got smiggled into like already talking about it. But I would say my Beautiful Gowns movie is All of Us Strangers. The more I talk about it, the more I'm just like, this something doesn't seem right. It is a very sad movie, and everyone is very beautiful. But the idea, I don't think this is a spoiler, but like the idea that like you can be a sad person living by yourself in London doing nothing because he's a writer who can't write. This is a very like privileged thing. And he for months is just visiting his parents, doing nothing. And I think in the end, after the shock of some of the revelations, you're just like left with nothing. You're left with really nothing. And that sucks. It's like, it's kind of like Gen X gay wish fulfillment porn, trauma porn, I guess. And I don't think it's a spoiler to say, because this is in the trailers. This is a man who is going to go visit. He's going in to visit his parents who are dead. They are his age.
Yeah, that's in the trailer.
That's in the trailer, and he basically spends, months going to visit them, and they are wonderful, and there are some absolutely stunning scenes, but it's just because these actors are so good. In the end, it's kind of like he doesn't really change that much. I left thinking like, what did he learn? And then I thought, wait, what did I learn? And it was just kind of like nothing. Just that they are beautiful people. And there's a lot of like lingering. Andrew High, who, loves making sad gay shit, Weekend looking. Is he okay? I don't know what happened to him in his life. We truly may never know. But for that and more, that is my my Beautiful Gowns award pick.
Okay, okay, how about I come in anyway? If not for a drink, then for whatever else you might want.
I think that's a good idea.
Do I scare you?
No.
We don't have to do anything if I'm not your type.
There's vampires in my door.
Please, everyone go see it, because I want to discourse more about it. I don't want to spoil it for you, but there's a lot there that I'm just like, huh? What? But anyway, Gavin, let's talk about like the movies that we live, laugh, loved of the year. I have it was funny. I was looking at like these 4 movies that I really loved. They are all made by women.
Oh, that's amazing.
And I haven't brought them. I purposely didn't bring them up yet. But I'm just gonna like rapid fire go through these, and then we can swap off. First one, we need to talk about Rye Lane.
Yeah.
Rye Lane, directed by Rain Allen Miller. This is her.
I'm so glad you liked that, because a film critic I really respect thought it was annoying, and I was like, I liked it.
I feel like, I don't know who this person is, but I can imagine someone watching this movie and being like annoyed, because it's a very young movie. It's about young people. It's very flashy, a lot of style. This is a movie.
It almost has like and I don't mean this as a negative, because I really liked it, but it almost has like a sketch comedy vibe to it. Like the way some of the scenes like interplay with, like, they almost feel like it then like cuts to a sketch. But like not in a negative way, not in like a Family Guy where somebody mentions something and then it cuts away to something else. Like I thought it was really well crafted.
I think Rain has a really strong point of view, and a lot of those like things that you mentioned, it feels purposeful and like surgical even. I think the actors are so good. Who is it? David Johnson and Vivian Opara. Vivian, who got nominated for a BAFTA, like a surprise lead actress nomination. It's just like a fun, stylish, kind of sexy, young people movie that like didn't feel pandering at all. It's fun. Rom-coms. Fuck off. Yeah, like it's great. Another movie that I really loved is The Persian Version, written by Mariam Keshavarz. Are you familiar?
I didn't see it. I did want to see it. I will say the trailer gave me very Big Fat Greek Wedding vibes, for good or for bad.
It's so interesting, and I think it's a little bit misleading because this movie is very deeply layered and complicated and complex. On the surface, it is about a woman who she is a lesbian and has this big family of like 8 brothers, and her parents who immigrated to New York from Iran. She feels like the black sheep because she is a lesbian. She goes through a breakup with her fiance. She's a filmmaker. And so on the surface, it's about her. She gets pregnant by a man dressed as Hedwig at a party. A Hedwig from Hedwig and the Angry Inch.
I figured you did not mean the owl from that book by that transphobe.
Correct. And so kind of like drama of like, oh, her talking to her family, I'm actually pregnant, but I'm still a lesbian, LOL. Antics. The movie then kind of shifts into like her exploring her mother and like her life back in Iran. There's an extended scene, like flashback of them speaking in Farsi in Iran, and it's just devastating. The trials of, I mean, it's just an exploration of like what the immigrant experience. Again, another movie with a bunch of style, point of view, bright colors, dance sequences, a ton of fun, but also just like devastating. So that's The Persian Version. My documentary, honey, in my batch, this movie fucking destroyed me. The Eternal Memory, directed by Maite Alberti. It comes from Chile, and you can watch it on
Paramount Plus.
Yeah. Paramount Plus. And by the way, Rye Lane is on Hulu. Eternal Memory is literally a documentary about this man who is slowly, losing his memory. He has dementia. And it's just I wrote in my letterboxd, LOL. Sometimes movies just like feel like gifts, and like what a gift to be a storyteller and to tell a story of someone. And like I just kept thinking about, there's a lot of difficult scenes in this where this woman's husband is so confused and so upset, and it just lingers. And this woman, like the next day, she's trying to like say like, all last night you were up and you were scared, and she's crying, and he's like, no, my darling, no, I love you. I would never leave. I would never do that to you. And she's like, but you did.
Right.
And he's like, never again, never again. And it's just like so devastating and heartbreaking. It's a beautiful movie. It interlinks a lot of, he's a journalist, a quite famous journalist, who, covered a bunch of horrible things that the dictatorships and different regimes of Chile were doing. And I just kept thinking about, obviously nothing lasts forever. But now this movie is the eternal memory of, this man's life and his work, and just like how special that is. Just gorgeous, devastating, funny also. This man is full of life and spirit. And so is this woman, his wife. Very special movie.
I really liked it. My one complaint, and it's an impossible complaint, like there's nothing they could have done, is that it's truly a movie I think that had COVID not happen would have been even better. Yeah. Because I think the first half of the movie has a lot of interesting things to say about the idea of like her trying to maintain a normal life, like bringing him to her rehearsals because she's an actress, and then also like what it means to like lose those memories of horrible things, because like he talks in the movie about a friend of his who was murdered in front of him.
Yeah.
During, protests and uprisings. And it's one of those things where it's like, if you could get rid of that memory, like, would you want to? But also, if you do, does that make you who you are? And unfortunately, midway through the movie, COVID happens, and it just becomes a movie about this woman isolated with him. And I found the first half much more interesting. Did I cry? Fuck yeah, I did. But I wanted more of that in the second half. I wanted more of that intellectual discussion. But once again, not a terrible complaint. It's still a very beautiful movie.
Yeah, it feels like in a certain way though, like that second half, it mirrors like he's getting worse, and like the horrors of this disease are just like, continue.
And it is horrific to like, and like not to take away from his story, but it's horrific for her to be trapped there with him. Like it's it's a scary thing.
Yeah, it's just so beautiful though. Like you can tell that they like love each other.
Love each other
so much. It's so cute. All the like interactions are just like so darling. That's on Paramount Plus. Go watch. The movie that like astounded me the most, gooped me, gathered me, got me all together, is A.V. Rockwell's 1001. It's
a great movie. Just it's a really fantastic movie.
Again, devastating. I think Tiana Taylor, talk about fucking stars. Like, she is just a star. She is just someone who has that presence. There's so much desperation in this woman's life. The character she's playing. And Tiana just really has all of it. This movie is about a woman who is getting out of prison, and she wants to find her son that she has left behind. She finds him in a hospital and decides to take him, and just, she essentially kidnaps him because he's in the system. He's in the foster care system. And so she has abducted him, and literally the movie is about just them trying to survive. She's trying to get her life back on track. She has to forge documents, she is just struggling, but the movie is also about gentrification and
It's such a brilliant choice in the film to tell you how time is passing by using inauguration speeches by different New York City mayors.
Yeah.
And just the fact that fucking what's his face, Bloomberg, like came in using a Toni Morrison quote. Like, fuck him.
Yeah.
Fuck him.
There's just a lot here. This woman who is... the cards are stacked against her in every possible scenario, and she is working so hard to build this life for her son. Her husband, like the father of the child, Lucky, is in and out of their lives. It's just such a beautifully rendered story about these three humans and their lives together. And no spoilers, but the very ending, there's a line that just fucking ripped my heart out. They are again going through troubles. Her son Terry is now a young man. He's in high school. And she says, I won. Because look at you. Look at what are you doing? I already won. I won because I know you. And I just lost it, Yeah. There is no one that is bad in this movie. The father, Terry's father, Lucky, he comes and goes, but like the movie is so caring towards all these people who have had horrible things happen to them. And yeah, it's astounding. Again, what a gift of a movie, to be able to tell a story of these three people who just want love and who just are doing their best in these horrible circumstances.
Right. In the system that keeps fucking them.
Yeah. Yeah. And like the movie ends in a very, up in the air type of way. But it's satisfying. It doesn't feel like...
Yeah. It's a closed ending, even though it is like an open end. Like it's not. It's a narratively closed. Like if the movie ended at any other place, you wouldn't feel.
It sticks to landing. And so for such a complicated thing, it's never like pandering. It's never like, on the nose about too much. This was, there is something that happens in the third act that I absolutely did not see coming at all. But it feels earned. It feels correct. There are no villains. People may be making bad choices, but like the love between all of them is just Teflon. I was astounded by this film. And again, A.V. Rockwell, this is, I think, her directorial debut. Her feature debut. So I had 2 Black women directorial debuts, Persian version. I think this is her second feature, an Iranian filmmaker. And then Eternal Memory, documentary from Chile. Just astounding, like, what we were gifted this year in, like, the diversity of filmmaking.
Used to like when I got spicy. Try and be quiet. You should try and be quiet. Right? Quiet like when you went missing for weeks and I sat here and said nothing. And never mind who you was with.
See, Dad.
If I get any more quieter, I won't even have a f***ing voice at all.
I'm not about to sit here and argue with you.
That's real easy for you to say, because you get to be the saint, right? You get to be the saint while I'm stuck here fighting these wars all by myself. What? Show up for me, like. Show up for me.
And all that being said, like, I think Killer of the Flower Moon is an amazing film. I think, like, all of some of the big Oscar baity things, I'm like, yeah, that kind of slaps too. So good. But those were like my 4 that I wanted to bring up.
Great. All good choices. Truly.
Thank you.
I'm gonna speed through mine too, I guess, real quick, because I feel like we're running a little long. But in my number 4 position, Monster. It's the latest film by Koreeda. It's beautiful. It's a queer film. Kind of. I mean, it is, but I feel like, is that a spoiler? Is it not a spoiler? Beautiful film. It's told in a triptych style. It's one story, and you see it from multiple different angles. It's devastatingly sad. It has some really beautiful moments in it. I mean, there's a gorgeous quote in the movie, and I want to get it right, which is, if only some people can have it, that's not happiness. That's just nonsense. Happiness is something anyone can have. And I think that's absolutely true. Just a beautiful, beautiful movie. I was wrecked by the end of it. Like,
erect?
No, wrecked. Wrecked. Like crying. It's got children in it, Louie. It just really, and the woman who plays the mother in it is just an absolutely fantastic actor, who is also in Godzilla -1 this year, which I've not seen yet, but I do plan on going to go see the black and white version, which is coming to theaters soon, I believe. Her name is Sakura Ando, and she's so good. Oh my God. Great movie. Seek it out if you can. In my number 3 position is Godland. It's an Icelandic film. It's on Criterion if you want to go see that. It's a movie about colonialism. It's a movie about all the like wild like ethnographic documentaries people used to make in the turn of the century, that sort of, and just the idea of like, can who belongs to what land, and like who deserves that land, and like what is the right way to live, and what's, it brings up all these like really esoteric questions, but it's like this gorgeously, very formalistically shot movie as well too. I've seen some people say, oh, it's difficult to get through. Like, I don't know, the stuff like that doesn't bother me. Like, is if I'm into it, if it's engaging me and it's making me think, I think it's really brilliant. In my number 2 spot, I actually have a tie. I rarely do this. But the aforementioned Killers of the Flower Moon, tied with the documentary Lakota Nation versus the United States. I think they're both of the similar ilk. We sort of mentioned before, Killers of the Flower Moon is about horrible white people in Oklahoma stealing land from the indigenous people there, so they can have both their money and their oil by literally killing them, marrying them and killing them. Lakota Nation versus the United States is a film directed by Laura Tomaselli and Jesse Shortbull, and it's both about poetry, but also the broken treaty of the United States for claiming the Black Hills, and how the Lakota people have been trying for years and years to get that land back, and have literally been offered millions of dollars to let go of their claim on the land, through lawsuits, through like settlements and everything, and just refuse and are like, no, like it's literally not about money. Like, this is our land. We are the people of this land. And just a beautiful companion pieces together, but also like beautiful separate movies on their own. I don't know what Lakota Nation versus United States is currently streaming on. I think you can rent it from Amazon or Apple. Obviously Killers of the Flower Moon is on Apple currently. And then my number 1 film of the year is May December. Yeah, just so sticky and icky and gross and complicated, and about people and just like the truth, and is there anything such as the truth? And you know, I can tell you exactly why it's not getting nominated for things, because actors don't like having the light shined back into their face about, you know, what they're like. And May December is a movie about Natalie Portman playing an actress who is going to go essentially spend time with Julianne Moore, who is this very Mary Kay Letourneau-like woman. She is not actually Mary Kay Letourneau, and everybody needs to have a little better media literacy, of this woman who raped a 12-year-old boy, was sent to prison, and then when she got out of prison, they married and had kids together, and he's now getting to experience essentially empty nest syndrome at the ripe old age of 30, because his kids are graduating college, and it's so prickly and so thorny and so fucking funny. And like, if you can't laugh at this movie, there's something wrong with it. Like, I saw it at the New York Film Festival premiere, and people were howling, because there are things in the script, there are things that are so funny, and I don't understand how some people are like, it's disgusting, how could you laugh at that?
Okay, it's ridiculous. It is the music choices alone are so fucking crazy. I think it's very, very telling that Natalie Portman, who is shitting on everybody in this movie, is not in conversation for awards because she is shitting on everyone in Hollywood.
Yeah. If we were to redo our Natalie Portman episode, this would be my 5-star review for Natalie Portman. I think she's amazing. And the fact that she received this script and was like, we should get Todd Haynes to direct it. Like she clearly saw it all. She had the vision for it. And
she's doing like masterclass, like level 1 million, like acting here. Her choices are like insane level, god level. Like I just like every little tick and move, her accent, she's like doing accent work as the woman at like, it's just levels and layers. And
like the psychology of the movie is so, you know, I mean, it's so dark and so deep. I mean, there's the scene where Julianne Moore freaks out because a woman no longer wants to buy cakes from her, and then just the like cut to her, like her husband eating the world's largest slice of cake to like appease her in the kitchen after she's calmed down. And like, it's so tawdry and sick, but like, I don't know. Aren't we aren't we all? Like, that's the worst bit, is it's so human and gross.
Well, yeah, like the idea that like Natalie Portman's trying to get to the truth. She's trying to get to the truth of the thing. But like, how do you get to the truth of someone whose life is a lie? You know,
right?
Like,
and like, there just is no truth for a lot of people. Like, you just can't.
Right,
Like,
there is no truth. I mean, Charles Melton's scene where he's like trying to have a conversation with Julianne Moore about like, what if I was too young? And it's like gaslighter, denier all over the place. But she has no truth to herself. There is no, and even in the end where she's like, you thought you got me, bitch, but like everyone's trying to one up each other with their facades.
They're a very beloved part of this community. I can see that. So, what is it you love most about Gracie? She always knows what she wants. She's unapologetic.
just a really fascinating peek into the darkest recesses of all of our psyches. And it's funny, Dan was even stronger on it. Dan was like, movie is why the world no longer needs To Die For. And I was like, I like the movie To Die For. But I do think it is funny. We both just guested on fellow Glitterjaw podcasts, Are You My Mother, to talk about Serial Mom. And my brain was like, oh, May December and Serial Mom would make a really good double feature, because I do think they're playing in the same playground, even though I think Serial Mom is like camp. Yeah. And I think May December is a really funny movie that it isn't really camp, because it's not like a heightened reality. It's not, like everybody's playing it and there's really funny stuff in it. But like, I think the unfair comparisons of, because when May December first played Toronto, everybody's like, oh, it's camp. And it's like, if Todd Haynes wasn't a gay man, would you be saying that? I think you're just saying that because he's gay. Yeah. So like, but I do think that they're like kind of two sides of the same coin, and would be really interesting. But yeah, I no movie delighted me or made me think or made me as gagged as May December this year.
Oh, look at us. Just a bunch of girlies talking about our little movies. Yeah, I love that. I love that list of movies. I love May December. I think overall, it was a very good year for movies.
Oh, it absolutely was. Yeah. And I don't think every year is an amazing year for movies. I think a lot of years are very good years for movies. But this, I thought, I don't know. I had a great time. I had a great time at the movies this year.
Same. And there's bad stuff, of course, in there. Like, LOL, they made another Transformers movie. Remember that? But,
That's a lie. That's...
Check the facts.
That can't be true.
but for all of the, Saw 10s and Super Mario Brothers movies and IP stuff going on, which whatever, pay bills, I guess. The amount of other stuff we got, creative stuff, small stuff, stuff that we wouldn't normally have access to, it's just lovely. It's just very lovely. And no matter what, and so I'm going to say again, this was, the year of queer filmmaking. We didn't mention, not a perfect movie, but Rustin also happened. Yeah. There's just a lot. Kokomo City.
Kokomo City, yeah. Great documentary. And kind of a throwback. Kind of felt like my favorite thing about Kokomo City was watching it and feeling like I was watching something at 2 a.m. on HBO.
Yeah, totally. Also, we mentioned Passages, but I just want to bring it up again. Bisexual chaos, Gavin.
Bisexual chaos. You might and I love Passages, so this is no slight fact. Passages is maybe my 5th favorite film of the year, but Passages is literally like. You know what? It's okay that some people are bad. Some people are bad people. You just gotta accept it.
I was gooped and gagged by him being the revelation at the end. I was like,
yeah,
a lot going on in that movie. Gavin's people are just devious characters, and that's just what that is.
It's true. Shapeshifters.
Yes,
all of them.
But I guess that wraps up our year in review.
Yeah, I think that brings us to a really good natural place. But I think that the other thing that we sort of thrive on this show, and truly this is your opportunity. We want to hear from you. We want to be able to find out what was your favorite film of the year. Or if you disagree with us, I'm sure some people think my take on Saltburn is gross. To which I say, I don't care. But you can always find us on Twitter at The Mixed Reviews.
You can find us on Facebook. Just type in The Mixed Reviews.
If you want to write us something a little longer, like an email, you can email us at reviewsmixed@gmail.com.
We're on Instagram at _mix_reviews.
And if you want to listen to our back catalog, like you just listened to this episode, we are on a plethora of podcast apps: Apple, Spotify, Google, Audible, Amazon, anyone. And go there, leave us a 5-star rating, write us a little review. We'll read it on the show like we did at the beginning of this episode. You can also join us on Patreon, where we have exclusive bonus content. We will have bonus content this year, I swear to God. And also extended episodes, video episodes, all these things. And we do them as a labor of love for you.
Yeah, and if you come to New York, we will give you a kiss. I will give you a kiss, fine.
I was going to say I might have a cold that day.
But don't talk about your bisexual chaos magic and then not give out kisses freely, Gavin.
I charge $0.25. That's all I'm saying.
Ooh. But
I need that Reese's peanut butter cup. I need it.
Okay. But thank you guys. We will be back next month with a brand new episode. We will see you then next time. Thank you so much for listening.
Bye.
Bye.
Watch me dance the